Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'll be doing a power rankings for Australian Survivor All-Stars, which starts in a couple days. And full disclosure, I did not originally plan on making this video. This was something that wasn't even on my radar to do. I did do one for Winners at War, obviously, and I got a lot of comments down below saying like, hey, you should do one for Australian Survivor. And I was like, I guess. I mean, to be honest, I originally was not going to. I saw the comments. I was like, no, I don't feel like doing it. Largely due to the fact that there's no pregame press for this. Like, they haven't even officially released the entire cast, which is such a weird thing that they're doing. But I just thought, like, there's no reason to do this. I already said my opinions in the cast assessment. Like, a lot of the stuff here is just going to be a repeat. But then I started listening to some cast assessment podcasts and reading some articles and stuff, and it just made me really think about it more. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Screw it. So yeah, I will be ranking the entire cast of 24 based on how likely I think it is that they're going to win this season. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. Starting off with number 24. At number 24, I easily have Shane Gould. I think Shane Gould has no shot of winning this season in really any aspect. I think she has the winner target coming into this season, obviously, where she is a previous winner. I think the previous winners are going to be targeted. I mean, there's only 2 of them on this cast of 24. I'll be mind blown if they aren't targeted off the bat. Shane Gould's just a very passive player for the most part. I mean, obviously there are things that she did in her last game that was more active. Like, she did actively target Lydia. She did, like, find an idol and stuff like that. She did stuff, but I just don't feel like that's going to be enough for this season, especially with as big of a target on her back that there is going to be. It's also not a good sign that they're promoting the rivalry between her and Lydia in the preseason. Considering the very little amount of content that we're getting in the preseason from this cast, I feel like that's such a terrible sign that they're promoting that rivalry. And to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if Shane is the first boot of the season based off of this. For me, I just see no reason why you're going to keep Shane around. And even if she gets to the end, are you really going to reward a winner a second time on the first All-Stars season? Again, we saw this on Survivor US All-Stars, where on the first season, they targeted the winners right off the bat, and they said if a winner got to the end, we wouldn't give him the money. I feel like the same thing's going to happen here, so I have Shane here at the very bottom. At number 23, I have Jericho. Same exact thing. Slightly higher, because I do think there's more of a chance that he survives the first couple rounds. I do think there's a chance that he ingratiates himself with a few people, but at the end of the day, I don't feel good about him either. I mean, even without the winner target on his back, I do think he's also a very aggressive player. He's someone that was able to hide behind his like sort of innocent demeanor, but now where people know how he plays, I feel like it's just there's no shot he's winning this game either. I do think he has more of a shot than Shane of winning if he gets to the end of the game. I think he is someone that's at least going to play hard, but I mean, come on, he's not even going to get there. So as I said, that is my bottom tier, those bottom 2 winners here. But now for number 22, we're moving on to a new sub tier of people who I don't necessarily think are going to go home right away, but I just have no confidence in them winning the game. So at 22, I have Zack. And the thing about Zack is that he's just not a good person, right? I mean, like, I think he's shown on his season that he just doesn't treat people with respect. And while I don't necessarily see him being an early boot on this season, I could very likely see him making the merge. I just don't think a jury is going to reward him with the money. And even with the perception of him coming from his last season, I mean, I don't think any of these people are going to say, you know what, the winner of our All-Star season, we want that to be Zack. Like, no one's going to do that. Now, I do think Zack actually has some strategic acumen. I mean, he was able to dictate that first vote on his original season and was in the majority for at least a little bit there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to pull together a couple votes, but really winning the game, it's never going to happen. I have him here at number 22. At number 21 is another person that I have no confidence in winning the game, and that is Daisy. But this is for a completely different reason. Daisy, I just have no confidence in her ability to actually play the game. I mean, I think she's just a bad player. I mean, I think every decision that she made on her original season was the wrong decision for her game. Now, I do think she was saved by the fact that she was able to build really strong relationships with a couple people. I mean, she had a good relationship with John. She had a good relationship with, obviously, Sharn. Even a good relationship with Baden. But there were still people targeting her right off the bat last season. This season, obviously, they're going to have just come off of watching season 4. I don't think she's going to have a massive target on her back necessarily. Again, I'm not thinking of her as a very, very early boot or anything. winning. But I just have no confidence in her getting anywhere close to the end of the game just due to her lack of actual game ability. At number 20 is someone I consider putting a bit higher because I don't think this person's going home anywhere towards the beginning of the game. I mean, I think this person's almost guaranteed merge. I see no reason to take him out before the merge, but I just don't have any confidence in him winning, and that's Lee. He was someone that talked a lot about loyalty and honesty, and that's something that I don't think is going to fly on this season. I feel like Australian Survivor, even from season 1 to 2, had a massive leap in strategy. And I feel like with All-Stars here, we're going to even see even more strategy than before. And for someone like Lee, I mean, while I think he can dodge the bullets here and there, I don't think he's going to be able to actually get the respect from the jury to win the season. I mean, he wasn't even able to do that on his original season. And you add on to that the fact that he's also a physical threat. He's someone that is probably going to be targeted around the merge, someone that is going to win challenges. And I think by the time he eventually loses one, he's probably going to be taken out. I mean, again, I just have no real confidence in him winning the game. Even if he gets there, and him getting there is still a tough road. Once he gets their merge, no reason to put him super high on the list. He's here at number 20. Now moving on to number 19, where we start this new sub-tier of the list of people who I have confidence in their strategic ability in the game, but I do think they are coming into this season as pretty big threats, largely due to that strategic ability. And at number 19 here is Harry. And the thing about Harry is that these people just saw Harry play. So obviously the season started filming at the end of the airing of season 4. So these people were seeing Harry right before they left and seeing all these things he would do, like lying about having a son and finding these idols and just scraping by through during that merge section. Like, I mean, he is a very devious sort of player, and I don't know how he isn't a target here coming into this season. I mean, can he squeak by? Who knows? I mean, obviously he did find idols last time. He could find idols again, played them correctly, maybe get further into the game because of that, maybe build relationships through that and get towards the end game. I don't know, but I don't think it's very likely. That being said, I do think if he gets to the end, he has a very good shot of winning. I mean, him along with the next couple players we'll be talking about. Again, while these people, I don't have confidence in them making it too far, I do think if they do make it far, they have a good shot of winning. So, again, don't have a lot of confidence in Harry, but enough to put him here at number 19. At number 18, I have AK. I think AK has a similar thing as Harry, except for he played 2 years ago. I mean, AK is another one, a very devious player, someone that made the chicken idol and stuff and actually had a real idol at the same time. He pretty much dominated the pre-merge of that season and really only went home due to being swap screwed. Again, I think he's essentially Harry, but 2 years out. I do think he has had time to build relationships with certain people. I know he's very good friends with like Nick. I could see him being friends with like Henry, obviously from that season as well, and some other people. Like, I think he has had times to build real life bonds with people, and that's why I do have him above Harry. But again, I just feel like that threat level's still there. I don't feel super confident about his overall game ability. So for me, he's here at number 18. At number 17 is, again, another person that's kind of similar, and that is David. Obviously, David is someone that they, again, just saw on Survivor, saw how devious he was with him faking out Sharn with the idol. And again, another one that just scraped on by during the pre-merge, made some pretty big moves. I mean, he is a very dynamic player, and I feel because of that he could be targeted right off the bat. However, unlike Harry and AK, I do feel like he's very good at challenges. I think he has this perception of being a challenge beast, and I feel like because of that, he could be dragged on a little bit further. And again, I think if they get through those first, like, maybe 4 or 5 rounds, I think they can build enough relationships to where their target starts to dissipate. But again, he's still coming into this with a massive target, and once he gets to the merge, again, I don't see how he doesn't become a target at the merge like he did his first time. So again, I don't have a lot of confidence in David making it super far, but I do think if he does, he can do very well. But I just feel like he's always going to have a target on his back, so he lands here at number 17. Now at number 16, we have Henry, and Henry to me is essentially the AK for David, where, again, as I said, AK is kind of the same thing as Harry, but 2 years out. I feel like Henry is the same thing as David, but 2 years out. Again, another person that's very cocky within the game, someone that was shown to be very devious, someone that was very strategic, someone that's also a physical threat, someone that also had an idol and was blindsided with it. I just feel like the similarities are 100% there between Henry and David. I think they're pretty much the exact same type of player. However, again, Henry has had 2 years of layoff, so at least there's that. And he's also had time to build bonds in real life with some of these people that I do think is going to help him in the game more so than a David. But who knows, maybe having those relationships also becomes a target on his back. I mean, that could also be a factor there. So again, overall, not feeling great about Henry. I mean, even though I love Henry as a player, I loved him on his original season. He was my winner pick from that season. I'm not feeling great about him coming into All-Stars here. He ranks here at number 16. Now at number 15, we have someone that I thought about putting lower. I thought about putting this person in the same tier as someone like a Lee, but I decided to move her up a little bit, and that is Lydia. And Lydia is someone that I, again, have very little confidence in her being able to win the game. I think she's someone that, obviously a physical threat, and I think she's always going to be looked at as a physical threat. And I think because of that, I kind of see the same trajectory for her as she had the first time. I think she'll make it to the merge and be taken out at the merge. I don't think Lydia has a great shot of winning. However, unlike Lee, I do think if Lydia gets to the end of the game, I do think she could win the game. I do think she is someone that was liked by most of her cast while she was out there. I mean, again, they took her out as a massive threat, and she was someone that had bonds with a good chunk of people. It's just that those people turned on her. So I mean, again, like, I do think if she's able to get people to not turn on her and get to the end of the game, I do think she can win a jury vote. However, again, I just don't think that's super likely either. But I don't think she's coming in with an initial target on her back like some of the people we just talked about. So she ranks here at number 15. Now at number 14, we have someone I have in a similar sort of position as Lydia, even though I have a lot more confidence in him as a player, and that is Lockie. I feel like Lockie is someone that is such a massive physical threat that I do not see him making it past the early merge. However, I have so much more confidence in Lockie as a player. I think Lockie is someone that does understand the game, and I think he demonstrated that towards the end game of his original season. And again, like Lydia, I think if he makes it to the end of the game, I think he easily wins. It's just a question of can he get there, and I don't think he can. He's such a massive guy that it's like, how are you not targeting this guy? I mean, unless he's able to get people like Henry and David and, I don't know, some other massive threats into the merge, but I just don't see how you don't target this guy come merge. So for me, he still ranks here at number 14. At number 13, we're kind of moving on to a new tier here. This is the tier of like strategic women that I feel like could be targeted initially, which is why I have them as low as they are, because spoiler alert, there's another tier of strategic women that I don't think will be targeted initially, and those people are a lot higher on the list. But these are ones I could see being taken out very early. And we're going to start off here at number 13 with Sharn. And I don't know how big Sharn's target is coming into this. To be honest, Sharn was the biggest question mark for me out of any of these people. I just don't know how Sharn is perceived by the rest of her cast. Like, I don't know if she's coming in with a massive target or is like just no one going to care about her. And because of that, I decided to put her here at the bottom of this tier just because I don't know where to put her. Again, she should be a target. I mean, she got second place on Champions vs. Contenders. She was someone that many people thought should have won that season. She was a strategic force throughout that season. She found idols. She dictated votes. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't target Sharn. But I don't know if they are targeting Sharn. And again, that's one of the major reasons why I didn't want to do this video, is because there's just not much information out there. And Sharn was a tough one to rank because of that. But again, I think Sharn is someone that if she makes it to the end of the game, I think she can win a jury vote. Again, she came so close to winning the jury vote last time. But I could also see her being a GOAT, dragged to the end as well. Again, it's all a matter of how she's going to play this season. I don't know how she's going to play because, again, there's no interviews. But because she's the biggest question mark for me on the cast, I put her here at number 13. So now at number 12. At number 12, I have Michelle. And Michelle is someone that I think can be a early boot. I think she's someone that could be targeted right off the bat. She's not a super strong competitor in challenges. She's someone that is at least strategically able, and that makes her enough of a threat to be someone that could be targeted. I don't really feel confident about Michelle making it past these first few rounds, but again, I feel like if she does, I think she has a good shot. I think it's kind of similar position to where I have like a Natalie Anderson or a Sophie Clark on my other list, on my Winners at War list, where again, I think that they could be targeted off the bat due to being strategic players that don't have massive targets on their back. And like, again, I do think there is going to be at least somewhat of a meat shield strategy here. Not as much as in Winners at War. I feel like in Winners at War, everyone's going to be doing a meat shield sort of strategy. I feel like here, only certain people are going to do that. But if those people are the people in charge, then someone like Michelle could be in a lot of danger. And also, I don't have as much faith in Michelle as a player compared to the next person we're going to be talking about. So for me, Michelle ranks here at number 12. At number 11, I have a person that I consider a slightly better version of Michelle, and that's Shani. I think Shani is in a similar position where I think she can be an early boot. I think she's someone that isn't looked at as strong in challenges, but again, someone that can play the game. I think she showed in the last few rounds of her season last time that she had agency and was starting to make moves. And again, while that can be a target, that can also be a good thing in terms of her winning chances. I do think she is more likely to survive than Michelle, in my opinion. I feel like she's less obvious of a physical liability than Michelle is. And overall, again, I just have more faith in Shani as a player. So for me, I do have Shani ranked one spot higher than Michelle. Though to be honest, they are relatively close. I do think they are both in similar sort of positions coming into this season. Now at number 10, the final person in this tier is someone that I think might have one of the biggest targets on their back coming into this season. I think outside of the winners, I think this person probably does have the biggest, I mean, maybe Harry, maybe David, but it's like, I feel like this person has a massive target on their back, but I also have a lot of confidence in them as a player, and that is Phoebe. And I'm kind of putting Phoebe here in a similar position to where I put Parvati on my Winners at War ranking, where, again, I feel like Phoebe's coming in this with a massive target, but I also have a lot of faith in her ability to make it through that initial stint. I think she has the most amount of potential on the cast. However, again, I feel like people know that, and I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be tough to escape for too long. I feel like she's just someone that's going to be targeted the entire season. And again, while she might be able to escape those bullets for a while, is she going to be able to do that the entire way through? I feel like that's going to be kind of tough. I mean, I could see her trajectory being similar to something like a Kelly Wentworth in Edge of Extinction. I think that's kind of the sort of route I'm seeing of, I could see her making the merge. I could see her making it deep into the merge, but I just feel like there's going to be a point where she gets sniped out of the game. Again, Phoebe, I have a lot of confidence in her as a player, and that is why she's as high as she is here. And I do think if she gets to the end, I think she almost automatically wins. It's just a matter of getting there, and I don't feel great about that aspect of it. Now at number 9, we have a couple people actually here that I have no faith in their actual game ability within the game, but I do think they are likable enough that if they get to the end of the game, they can win a jury vote, but are also just not threats. And starting at number 9 here, we have John. Like, who's targeting John? I mean, who is John? I know nothing about John outside of he likes, what was it, Parm something? I don't remember. But still, it's like, who is John? Like, I think he's probably, for me, the biggest question mark on this All-Star cast. But again, I don't see him going home early. I mean, I would be very surprised if he goes home before the merge. It's just like, who's targeting him? Like, why even get rid of him? And if that's able to get him to the end of the game against someone that's just hated by the jury, I mean, he could win the game. I mean, like, I do think it's a possibility. However, I do think that this cast is going to try to reward the best player. I mean, I do think, like Winners at War, I mean, I feel like the perception of, like, who do we want representing this season? Who do we want to be the winner of the All-Star season? I think that is going to play a factor here. And the fact of John being that person, I just don't feel like that's something that's going to sit well with a lot of the jury members, but I could be wrong. I have him ranked here at number 9. At number 8, we pretty much have another version of John, and that's Tarzan. I mean, Tarzan's pretty much the exact same thing, right? And I would be mind blown if Tarzan's not in, like, the final 7, I'll say. Like, I just don't see any reason to get rid of Tarzan anytime soon. I think he's a loyal number. He's someone that you can pick up. You know what he's going to do. He's always going to do whatever he says. He's someone that's willing to hand out idols for no reason. He's someone that is just never going to turn his back on a true alliance. And you know that because that's the type of person that he is. He doesn't seem like the type of person that is going to go back on their word. And I think that's a massive upside for Tarzan in terms of getting towards the end of the game. Does he win a jury vote? I don't know. I think he can win a jury vote. I think like John, I think if he's against someone that's hated, I think he can win a jury vote. I think he can even win a jury vote if he gets the right people on the jury. I mean, people like Lydia, people like Matt Rogers, and I don't know, some of these people that look at the game more honor-based. I feel like those sort of people would vote for Tarzan to win the game. But I do think there's more gamers on this cast than not. I feel like it is going to be a little bit tougher for him to win than some more blatant threats. So for me, he ranks here at number 8. Now moving on to number 7, and I didn't know what to do with this person. This was another one that I found pretty tough to rank just because I do have some confidence in his ability to play the game very well and win the game, but I just feel like he's also just a massive target. I feel like this person is just always going to be a ringleader, and that's Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers, I think, was one of the biggest surprises for me on Champions vs. Contenders. I was very impressed with how he played that game up until, obviously, the final 9 where he blew up his own game. I feel like Matt Rogers is just like a Boston Rob sort of figure. Like, he's always going to be the leader of his alliance, and because of that, I think it's going to lead to some very mixed results. I think this could be a pre-merge boot, or he can make it to the end and dominate the game. I mean, he's someone that could be idled out of the game because he is the leader of the alliance, or he's someone that can steamroll his way to the end. And again, his game is just such a high variance game from the beginning. I feel like he's going to play the exact same way. I feel like Matt Rogers is someone that can't not play the game from the front. And he is someone that does have a strategic mind for the game. He is someone that is very good socially with the people around him. Again, I just feel like he is someone that, if he gets to the end of the game, he wins, like, no question. I also feel like the other people are going to see that as well. I mean, they did on his original season, so I don't see why they wouldn't see it as well here. So at the end of the day, I do think he is going to be targeted, probably not going to win the game, but I do think if he does end up winning the game, he is probably going to win in a very impressive fashion. But considering this is an all-star season, I just feel like he's probably going to be sniped out before that, but again, I still have him here at number 7. At number 6 is someone that I'm very surprised I have this high, because I really was thinking of this person as a massive target coming into the season, but the more and more I think about it, I just don't feel like that's the case, and that's Nick Danza. And Nick is someone that is obviously a big part of the Survivor community. He is someone that obviously was a podcast for RJP for seasons 2 and 3 of Australian Survivor. Made a lot of friends within the community. I think Nick Danza is either going to be taken out very early due to that threat level, or he can do very well. And I'm leaning towards him doing very well at this point. I feel like he's someone that's going to have some very strong bonds. He's going to be able to get away from that sort of snake persona that he had on his original season. And I think a large portion of that comes from the fact that he isn't a snake in real life. Like, I mean, I think the thing is that he was incorrectly portrayed as a snake on his original season by people like a Sam and a Lee. So I do think he is someone that is going to probably have the most improvement on this return, in my opinion. I mean, I just have a lot of confidence in Nick as a player. I just don't feel like his threat level is as big as I was initially expecting. So again, I have a lot of confidence in it. I mean, he's not my winner pick. I mean, he's not the person that I think is the most likely to win the game, but I do think he's someone that could make the merge, and if he's there with the right group, which is essentially a group full of gamers, I do think he can squeak on by and make it to the end and then win a jury vote. I do think it's a possibility on his season, which it wasn't in season 1. I think in season 1, even if he makes it to the end, I think he loses. I think here, it's the complete opposite of that. So I'm pretty confident about him, and actually, I believe he is the highest ranked male on this entire cast, which is really mind-blowing to think. But again, I just have so much more confidence in the women of Australian Survivor, as I feel like Australian Survivor is a game that does favor women, but we'll talk about that in a second. But for now, Nick lands here at number 6. Now at number 5, as I said, we're down to only just women, and I think women have a great advantage in Australian Survivor. I mean, Australian Survivor is a very, very long game, and it's a game where if you become a big target, you're more than likely going to be taken out. So I do think it's tougher for people like a Matt Rogers or a Lockie or a Henry or a David or AK or any of these people to actually get to the very, very end of the game. I think most of the people that get to the very, very end are usually more under the radar players, especially during the first half of the game. Now, obviously there are exceptions to this, but again, like, we haven't really had a winner that was out in front the entire way through. And again, I just feel like that's not going to be the case for All Stars here, as I feel like there's going to be big targets that are going to be targeting each other, and that is going to lead to some lesser threats making it to the end of the game. So number 5 here, I probably have what I would consider probably the biggest threat of the 5, and that is Abby. Abby's kind of a weird one because, like, again, Abby is someone that I don't have a lot of confidence in her game ability. I mean, I don't think she's someone that, when I think back on her game, I think of too much that's that impressive. I mean, she is someone that flipped a lot, but I do feel like a lot of those flips were more emotional moves, whether that be like emotional manipulation by other people that caused her to flip, or her just feeling like on the outs from certain people that made her flip. Again, like, I just don't feel like they were purely strategic game moves. I feel like that's really her entire game. But again, I do feel like she is someone that does have respect. I think she's someone that if she gets to the end, I do think she has the respect needed to win a jury vote. I do think she is someone that is very good in challenges. That's something else you can give to her. I don't think she's like so good at challenges though that she's going to be a threat early on in the merge. She's not a Lydia, she's not a Lockie, she's not a Lee. Like, she's very good at challenges, but not the biggest threat there either. So I do think she's someone that, again, if she can make it to the merge, I think she's set for like the mid-merge sort of section of the game. I feel like if she's able to play in a bit more of a cutthroat sort of way than what she did last time, in a more strategic way, I should say, than she did last time, I do think she can get to the end of the game. And again, I think she can win if she gets to the end. At number 4, I feel a bit weird about this one too. I think she might be a bit too high, but I just don't know where she should be if I don't put her here, and that's Flick. Now, Flick is another one that I do worry about threat level to a degree. I do look at Flick as a very strong strategic player. I do think she pretty much dominated a lot of her original season alongside Brooke, but I do feel like she's also someone that can play too hard. I think she played too hard too fast on her original season that caused her to end up in that tie vote at that double tribal, and that's not great. But I think coming into this season, I do see Flick making a decent run, especially because I could see her doing better in a lot of these more physical challenges. She does obviously have the rivalry with Brooke. I mean, I believe they're friends outside of the game, but I do think within the game, I do think it can play a factor there. I do think Brooke is probably going to be more willing to flip on Flick earlier on than Flick is on her. I wavered whether to put her in this tier or in the tier with like Phoebe and Shani and all those of like people that are going to be targeted earlier. I just don't see her going home right away. I mean, it's just a gut feeling that she doesn't go home within those first initial rounds. But again, like I do feel like late pre-merge, I think that could be a spot where they start to target her. And then even then, I just feel like there's a tough road for her getting to the very end of the game as well. I just feel like there's no chance that she's not going to be targeted at some point. I just don't really see her getting there. But again, I think it's more likely that she gets there than most of the other people on the cast. So she ranks here number 4. Now for number 3, which number 2 and 3 here are both people that I just feel like are coming into the season with almost no threat level at all. But I feel like are people that are competent players and have shown that they're competent players in the past. And because I feel like they're in it for the long haul on this season, and number 3 here, I have Jackie. And Jackie is someone that I thought had a lot of potential in her original season. I mean, she's someone that obviously built that alliance with Henry, and they looked like they were going to be the Malcolm and Denise of Australian Survivor. But then Henry decided to swap tribes, and it really screwed her over. I mean, she essentially got swap screwed, and even before that, she was kind of being targeted as the second in command to Henry. But I feel like on a season like this, on Australian Survivor All-Stars, like, who's going after Jackie? Like, why would you ever go after Jackie anytime soon? I mean, she's someone that's strong enough in the challenges. I mean, she's not like a massive physical threat, but she's someone that I feel like is going to be able to hold her own in challenges. She's someone that I just look at as a more traditional sort of winner for an all-star season. Jackie's just someone that I feel like is a competent strategic player, a competent social player. So I see no reason why she's going to be targeted. I feel like she's going to be able to make it towards the end of the game. And I feel like once she's at that point, I do think she's someone that can build strong bonds with certain people, like maybe like a Matt Rogers and a Tarzan and a John, and some of these people that are also probably going to make it decently far and ride her way to the end. Now, does she win at the end? I think it matters who she's up against. I don't think she's an automatic win if she gets to the end. But if she is up against someone that isn't as big of a player, or someone that's just disliked by the jury, I mean, she can win the game. So for me, she ranks here number 3. At number 2, I have someone that it's in a very similar position to me, and that is Moana. And Moana is another one. Early boot. I mean, she pretty much quit the game, right? I mean, she quit the game because of her being sick, and I do think that's obviously a major factor here. Like, I mean, if she becomes sick again and has to quit again, then that's not great. But assuming she's able to play the entire way through, that she doesn't get sick, that she can play through the entire season, I have a lot of confidence in her. I mean, she was very impressive in her short stint on her original season, where she was the center of that champions tribe. She was able to get people to do what she wanted. She was able to create really strong bonds with Sharn and Matt Rogers. And again, Moana is just someone I have a lot of confidence in as a player. And again, if she's able to ride it out the entire way through, I think she's a very likely winner of the season. Though I do worry about her being a bit too emotional at points. I mean, she did go after Russell Hantz. Obviously, I feel like that was also a very emotional move. I feel like she just didn't like Russell. So I do think that could also play a factor. But for now, I am feeling pretty good about her chances of winning the game. She ranks here at number 2. Now, number 1 is the same person I said was going to be the winner in my all-star cast assessment. I mean, I still have a lot of confidence in this player. She's still my winner pick. And again, I do think she's coming into this with maybe a little bit more of a target than Moana and Jackie, but again, still have a lot of confidence in her, and that's Brooke. I mean, Brooke is someone that I think is probably one of the better players in all of Australian Survivor. And she pretty much dominated the merge section of that season on season 1, along with Flick, and was someone that if she made it to the end there, she easily wins. She was someone that was very respected by the jury. She was someone that won challenges. She dominated socially and strategically. And I also feel like she's someone that doesn't have a target on her back. I mean, I don't really see her being targeted coming into this season. I would be very surprised if she goes out anytime before let's say final 9 or so. Like, I don't see her being an early boot. I mean, unless maybe some idol stuff can come into play and maybe that could ruin her chances. But overall, like, I just don't really see her being a target from people when we have these other people in a similar archetype to her that are probably more threatening, or at least perceived to be more threatening, in a Flick and a Phoebe. And again, come the merge, I see the bigger physical threats being taken out. People like a Lockie and a Henry and a David and a Lydia and all those sort of people. And I feel like that leaves Brooke in a very good spot. Like, if she's able to get towards that end game as like the second biggest threat left, I feel like she has a good shot at winning the game. I mean, she's able to get to like the final 5 or 6 with someone like a Phoebe or a Nick or a Flick, who are all people that I feel like she's going to be working with. I feel like she can make those other people the bigger targets than her, and she's going to be able to get to the very end there. And again, I think she very likely wins the season if she gets to the end. I mean, she's just the person I have the most confidence in. And I just don't feel like her target's nearly as big as a lot of these other players. And again, at the end of the day, I just have a lot of confidence in her. She ranks here number 1. So there we go. That is my power rankings for Australian Survivor All-Stars. Again, did not plan on making this video. This video was entirely unscripted. It's one that's going to be very irrelevant very soon, but I still thought it'd be fun to make here. And it's so crazy that we're getting this and Winners at War at the same time. Obviously, I will be doing a review for this season once it finishes, but this might be the last time I talk about the season until then. But yeah, that's the video. So thank you for watching.